are this afternoon's top stories. Criminal Justice Strategic Board launched in St. Kitts Nevis. St. Lucia continues to experience heavy rainfall and police storm plane insecurity scare. Good afternoon and welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, 11th November 2015. I'm Carla Berridge. In national news, 15 persons have been identified to serve as members of the Criminal Justice Strategic Board, which was launched this morning during a ceremony at the police training complex. Spearheaded by the Ministry of National Security, the launch saw the country's Prime Minister, Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, issuing the instruments of appointment and officially installing the board with assistance from Attorney General Honorable Vincent Byron. Ahead of the launch, we spoke with Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of National Security, Osmond Petty, who said while the board's launch is part of the police force's 6-point plan of action, the initiative is from the Ministry of National Security. The board, which is the first of its kind in St. Kitts and Nevis, will help to formulate criminal justice strategies. As a demonstration of their commitment to the job, the 15-member board signed a memorandum of understanding. Prime Minister Harris and Attorney General Byron were accompanied at the ceremony by Criminal Justice Advisor Sarah Abraham and Permanent Secretary Petty. We'll have more in tonight's newscast. Terranov, a French engineering and services company for new and renewable energy based in Guadeloupe, has recently begun geothermal exploration exercises in the Sandy Point area around Brimstone Hill, going to the top of Mount Lyamiga. 5 geoscientists are presently conducting feasibility studies in geophysics, geology, and geochemistry. President of Terranov, Jack Chirac, says the prospects of geothermal energy on St. Kitts are promising. In September of this year, the Honorable Ian Patches-Liburd, Minister of Public Infrastructure, Posts, Urban Development and Transport, signed a memorandum of understanding with Terranov, which includes a roadmap that can possibly see the production of geothermal energy in 2020. Minister Liburd also shared that in the upcoming sitting of Parliament, the regulatory framework will be laid with the tabling and first reading of the St. Christopher Electricity Act, which is being amended to accommodate alternative energy, feed-in tariffs, net billing, and solar, wind, and geothermal energy. The much-anticipated Renaissance Red, to be hosted by St. Kitts Fashion Events later this month, is a platform to showcase the talent of local artists. That is according to Cara Griffin, a representative of St. Kitts Fashion Events, who says the show gives locals an opportunity to gain exposure.
Renaissance Red is a platform. It's where they showcase local designers, local models, international and regional designers as well, but mainly it's a platform for local artists, like the arts, for instance. We have dancers, we have models, we have graphic designers, photographers. So we are just a platform to showcase the many talents that St. Kitts and Nevis have.
Griffin says the event has received positive feedback for its local approach to fashion.
Renaissance Red is about creating a platform for our local Kittitians to be seen. For instance, I was on Facebook the other day and Garfield Alexander said to me he supports local and he's glad to see our poster was done local photographer, local graphic designer, local models and local producer. And everything on our platform is to showcase our local designers, especially like Chantel Vanterpool. We have Kiwi Dan Couture, we have Lavella Benjamin, we have Chavanese Lake, and we also have Eccentric Designs, our own Tamisha Cranston and Kaive Mimi Armstrong.
The weekend fashion event starts on November 20th, with the major fashion show taking place on November 22nd at the Marriott Dome. On to news on the regional scene. As St. Lucia experiences heavy rainfall, the Met Services continue to plead with residents to pay close attention to weather advisories as more rain is expected in the short term. Jenna Gaston reports.
The rains continue as the island continues to feel the impact of an upper-level trough colliding with a tropical wave. Already, a life has been lost due to severe flooding. Private property and public infrastructure have also been destroyed. Incoming and outgoing flights at the George F.L. Charles and the Huronera airports were cancelled and schools remain closed on Monday.
Over the weekend, we had a combination of an upper-level trough and then we had a tropical wave. This thing has been persistent for the past week or so. The upper level trough has been there, and then a few tropical waves have moved. And when they interact, you get this blow up, a lot of showers and thunderstorms. So this is exactly what we had over the weekend.
The current upper level trough brought similar conditions as those experienced on Christmas Eve 2013, minus the tropical wave. The island has been put on a flood and landslide watch for the next 24 hours.
Since the topsoil is saturated and there's a tropical wave in the area, out of an abundance of caution, we just have this caution that any heavy rainfall, there's a possibility that you might have flooding and landslides. So we kept that, we'll keep it going until we'll probably lift it this afternoon or tomorrow.
The general public is asked to take all safety precautions during this time. For the DBS News World, I am Janan Gaston.
Antigua and Barbuda will welcome the services of another airline next month. This as tourism officials return from London upbeat about the country's successful showing at the recently concluded World Travel Market.
Alitalia out of Italy will make its inaugural flight to the country on December 20th. This as tourism officials report that there will be an increase in visitor arrivals from Europe this season. Chief Executive Officer of the Antigua and Barbuda Tourism Authority, Colin James, who recently returned from World Travel Market in London, is happy that strategic negotiations and promotions are paying off.
We will be introducing another inaugural flight this December, Alitalia, from Italy, which will be traveling from Rome to Milan, then on to Antigua and Barbuda once a week, 150 seats into the destination for us. So that's big good news. That's going to be continuing for 7 months, starting in December 20th actually, and therein after the 7 months. For the next season, we've already gotten a commitment from that tour operator in Viaggi to operate year-round into Antigua and Barbuda.
James adds that there is a lot of potential in the European market, which will reap significant benefits for the Twin Island states in the future. We
brought out scores of travel agents from the UK, top sellers, people who know the destination, who are producing and introducing them again to Antigua and Barbuda. And people sell what they know. So when they come and they have experienced the destination, they then go back and they can be selling it very, very aggressively. And that has worked tremendously well in the UK market.
The country also managed to edge out its competitors by capturing 2 major awards.
We had 2 awards that were awarded to the destination to Antigua and Barbuda. Selling Travel Choice, which was, we were awarded the Best Tourist Board, the Caribbean's Best Tourist Board from that entity again, which is an endorsement by our peers, and the Travel Bulletin Star Award for Travel Bulletin Star Awards for 2015, which is the UK travel trade's most prestigious award program. Antigua and Barbuda, as a tourist board entity working with the trade, was also awarded one of the best tourist boards to work with in 2015.
The tourism CEO also reported that Antigua and Barbuda's largest tour operator partners, Virgin Holidays and BA Holidays, are reporting double-digit growth for 2015. The destination's luxury operators are reporting increased business, and they plan to start selling Barbuda in 2016 ahead of new hotel openings. For ABS News, Elisa Graham reporting.
And internationally, dozens of flights were delayed for hours at Miami International Airport after a passenger got through TSA security and boarded a plane with dental equipment. CNN's Renee Marsh reports.
Everybody out. Everybody out from the front.
Police rushed on board this American Airlines flight Monday in search of a man with a suspicious package. Passengers were ordered to place their hands on their head.
Half a dozen or so very large officers in SWAT gear entered the plane. They proceeded down the aisle, looking at each passenger in the eye as if they were looking for someone.
TSA at Miami International Airport initially allowed the man through a security checkpoint with a bag containing dental equipment. TSA later determined the bag was suspicious. Authorities spent the next several hours trying to find him.
They came in and told everybody to get out. The airport was being evacuated.
73 flights were delayed. 9 were diverted to other airports. Darren Doty filmed this video seated just one row from where the man was finally detained.
this is the guy. And they just kind of jumped on him and said, sir, let me see your hands. When they started yelling, get your hands out of the bag, let me see your hands. That's when things kind of get a little hairy.
The passenger was questioned and released, the bag deemed safe.
The way that the procedures are written at the checkpoint, this shouldn't happen. So this is obviously a fault. This is TSA missed it in this case.
As U.S. and British officials suggest someone may have smuggled a bomb on board the doomed Russian passenger plane, scrutiny continues over vetting of airport workers with secure access to airplanes here in the United States.
This is a trusted population, or should be a trusted population. I think there's work to be done there.
There are close to 1 million workers at the more than 450 airports the TSA runs nationwide, often with direct access to an aircraft. A government audit recently revealed TSA's vetting process for those workers was not effective for finding some basic criminal history. The report says thousands of records had incomplete or inaccurate biographical information.
It becomes a reputation issue for the agency, and it becomes a public perception issue.
Well, TSA just sent a statement acknowledging the error at Miami International Airport, but TSA does not specify how it happened, only saying that they stopped the X-ray machine to conduct further screening on a carry-on bag, and in the process of transitioning other passengers to a different screening lane, they lost track of the passenger and that suspicious bag.
Fresh from her party's apparent landslide victory in nationwide elections, Aung San Suu Kyi, the leader of Myanmar's democracy movement, has asked the commander of the country's powerful military for a meeting on the basis of national reconciliation. Here's more.
Seen by many as the champion of democracy, Aung San Suu Kyi has inched one step closer to a landslide election victory in Myanmar. Success in her constituency has helped her opposition National League for Democracy win over 90% of the seats counted so far. Suu Kyi has now requested a meeting with the president and the nation's powerful military chief to discuss national reconciliation. I'm a little worried about the handover of power, says this man. I had the same bad feeling during the 1990 vote. Another added, I don't think the handover will be easy. The current government and the elected one will have to negotiate and cooperate with each other. There needs to be understanding between the two sides. Myanmar, a former British colony, is still heavily under the influence of the military. In the first past-the-post vote, 25% of the seats in the new parliament will be allotted to representatives of the armed forces. If, as seems likely, Suu Kyi's NLD party wins the majority, it's unclear how she and the generals would work together.
Taking a look at the weather. Temperatures today will peak at 79 degrees Fahrenheit, with winds blowing east to east-northeast at 21 miles per hour. Small craft advisory remains in effect as seas are moderate to rough with heights up to 7 feet. Sunset tonight will be at 5:36 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:14 a.m. And that brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for joining us. I'm Cala Barrage.